Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Terry Johns from United Way of Southwood and Adams Counties, and this is Ashley Winch from United Way of Marshfield area. And we're here to talk to you a little bit today about United Way at work in your community. So we will each start by telling you a little bit about our United Ways and the programs that we help to fund. But first, it's important for you to know that United Way is a network of 1,800 local United Ways like ours around the world. There are 1,200 of them in North America and another 600 elsewhere around the globe. So each of us are our own independent nonprofit, 501c3. We have a local governing board that makes our decisions. And our goal is always to do what's best for each of our individual communities and serve as many people as we possibly can. So these are our strategy areas: education, financial stability or income, health, and then safety net service. We each fund local programs. That's one of the areas that United Way focuses on. So for us, for United Way of Southwood and Adams Counties, we help to fund 30 different programs in each of these strategy areas. And so there is a list that's provided for you. Looks like this. I encourage you to take a look at it. But it does indicate all of the programs that United Way helps to fund. For example, here in Southwood County, in our education area, we help to fund the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. In financial stability, we're helping to fund scholarship aid for childcare for families who have that need. In health, we think about our senior population and those who are aging and how do we best meet their needs and make sure that they still have social opportunities. And safety net for Southwood and Adams Counties means access to food and emergency shelter. So that might mean domestic violence shelter, it might mean eviction prevention, food pantries, community meal sites, and weekend backpack programs. So that's kind of an overview. There are 30 programs that we help to fund by making grants to local agencies.
So for Marshfield Area United Way, our focus areas fall under education, financial stability, and health. We kind of lump those safety net services within those three categories. Some examples of the programs that we fund in the Marshfield area that fall under the education umbrella would be a Youth Net after school program. We do Big Brothers Big Sisters. We have the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts as well. Under financial stability, our focus areas are income supports, so that would be like our food pantry and clothes closets. Affordable housing, so that we fund Mary's Place, which helps shelter homeless individuals, and our Central Community Action that does homelessness prevention for us. And then under the health umbrella, our two main focus areas there are a safe home and communities, as well as access to supportive health services. So safe home and community, we fund programs like the PDC Orenda Center that shelters victims of abuse and also provides advocacy and support for adults and youth, even elder, going through domestic violence within their homes. For the access to supportive health service, a couple partners there would be Marshfield Area Respite Care Center. So they provide respite for individuals who are either suffering from some form of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's or dementia, and then home delivered meals, which is providing hot nutritious meals to elderly or disabled in the Marshfield community.
So while we each have our own, our own buildings and our own nonprofits, we do work very well together and actually have a lot of agencies that overlap, and we fund the same programs because we're very close and we recognize that there's certainly an overlap in need. So what we really want to focus on today are the initiatives that each of our United Ways bring to the community in addition to those funded programs. So that's what we just talked about is the programs where we send dollars out. The program delivers on the goal. And then we have these initiatives that we actually are providing ourselves as a United Way team to the community. So I'll go first talk about United Way of Southwood, and then Ashley will talk to you about Marshfield Area United Way. So we have a variety of different programs, as you can see on the screen. But I do certainly want to highlight those and talk about those. We do a lot of focus on early grade learning and literacy, and so we have some programs for making sure that kids have books is really the gist of it. We're finding that people don't have home libraries for their children, or they have barriers to getting to the public library. It might be a transportation barrier, might just be time. They're not available in the time that the library is open. So we encourage both, of course, getting to the library, using their programs because they are often free for families. And then also thinking about programs like this. So we have Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. This is a book gifting program for children that are from birth to age 5, and all children who live in the zip codes of Rudolph, Vesper, Port Edwards, Nakusa, and Wisconsin Rapids qualify. And basically the child receives a free book in the mail every month. And so it's a really cool thing. Kids don't get mail anymore, so that makes it fun. And it also is something special that comes to them with their name on it once a month. In theory, by the time they're age 5, they could have a 58 to 60 book collection to build their home library. This is funded by our United Way's Women's United, and right now we have 625 children who are receiving books every month. And then we also have our Great Book Giveaway, which happens the week after school lets out. This is a gently used book gifting program. So we have a series of Reading in the Park events where families come, caregivers come, youth come with their older siblings, and there's members of the community that read to the kids for about 20 minutes, and then they get to select books to take home and keep. It's a great way to repurpose books. We know a lot of people, I know even myself, as my kids grew up, it's like you don't want to just get rid of the books. You want them to go somewhere. You want them to be making an impact, and hopefully another child is enjoying them as much as yours did. So each April, we do a gently used book drive, and then we send those back out to other kids in the community in June. And then the other thing around literacy is our Learning for Life Reading Mentor program. So we have reading mentors in 5 of our elementary schools here in Southwood County. We are at Washington Grove, Meade, Port Edwards, and Humke and Nakusa. And we have mentors who are working with kindergarten through 3rd grade children on enhancing their reading skills. We are currently recruiting for mentors, so if that's something that's appealing to folks, you can visit our website at uwswac.org. Our reading mentors commit to giving 1 hour a week from the first week of October through the 2nd week of May. And what we're really finding is during the reading intervention time in the school is that there's 3 groups of kids. There are the self-guided kids who the teacher says this is what you need to do, and they can do that. They go off and do that on their own. And then there's the kids who need intervention. So they need the teacher to sit down with them and actually work on their reading. Maybe it's phonetics, whatever it might be. They're working on that. And then there's the kids in the middle, and that's who our mentors are paired up with. So they need another trusted adult. Maybe the teacher knows that they're not reading in the evening at home because no one's available to read with them, or whatever the reason might be. But those are the kids that we're pairing our mentors up with. And last school year, we had 87 mentors work with 250 kids on a weekly basis. So that's making a big impact because, as you all know, reading is foundational to the success of children and certainly of adults. So we really want to have that focus there to make sure that kids are successful and really they're the future of our workforce and of our community. Stuff the School Bus. So we run Stuff the School Bus in both of the counties we serve, in Southwood and in Adams. And this is a school supply drive and distribution, and probably you've heard of this. Maybe of all of these up here, it's the most familiar. But this is a school supply drive that we run all summer, and then in mid-August, supplies are distributed to the students so that they have what they need to succeed. This year we served a little over 800 students here in Southwood County and about 325 in Adams County with the school supplies that they need. And this is a great community collaborative effort led by United Way. A couple of others that we have, the Help Guide. So this is something that is distributed to you today, but this is something that we publish through 211, and we'll talk about 211 in a little while. But this is information that is around basic needs that you might have. It's really the only publication that we have around resources, because what we find is resources change so quickly. So we try not to put too many things in print because somebody might come to it 18 months later and that program is long gone or that pool of funds is long gone. But this is just the basics. Maybe someone was just laid off and they need to know how to get unemployment, or where do I even go, or who do I even talk to, or they need clothing or food or shelter. So it's really around basic needs. And it also encompasses our Family-Wise prescription program, so that card is on there. But this is a discount program for anyone in the community. Everyone qualifies, so there's even pharmacies here in town in Wisconsin Rapids that will run both. They'll say, oh, well, with your insurance, it's this much, but if you use this discount card distributed by United Way, it's actually cheaper. So it is a great program. It's a partnership between Family-Wise and the big box retailers around making prescriptions affordable. And Touch Wireless is the same, very similar program around providing wireless services for those who have an income need. Born Learning Academy. is a series of workshops for individuals in our community who have a preschool, toddler, or infant child. And it is a 6-workshop series, and we will actually be kicking this off again on October 9th. And we do have some openings, so if you're aware of families who could benefit from this, the Born Learning Academy runs from 5:15 until 6:45, and it's 6 consecutive Wednesdays. A hot meal is provided to the family, and then there is childcare while the parents are learning. Each week there's a different topic. So one week is about simple meals, how the importance of sitting down to share a meal together, but then how to prepare those meals, especially when you've been working all day, or whatever the case might be. And then we ask for a commitment from the families that they attend at least 5 of the 6 sessions. We do some drawings each week and try to incentivize people to participate, but really the gist of it is around taking everyday moments and turning those into teachable moments. And how do we enhance the life of our child, of our infant, toddler, or preschool age child, by attending this and learning about how to engage them in the things that we're already doing at home, but including them and making them part of the process. And then Migrate Taxes, this is a tax preparation program that is offered by our United Way. And basically each year, this is a partnership with United Way Worldwide, and there is a income level that is set. So this past year, it was any household that had gross wages of $66,000 or less qualified for free tax preparation. It's been in that similar range the past few years, so I'm guessing that that's where it would be in the upcoming year, but that is another program that's available. And then Alice, Alice is our really a poverty report from United Way of Wisconsin, and so this this applies to both of our United Ways. And Ashley, sorry if you were going to talk about this, we'll both talk about it. But Alice stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. So these are folks in our community who are working but are not making enough. They don't have enough income coming in to meet all of their basic needs. And so what this Alice report does is it really educates people like us, people like you, to understand where the gaps are and where people are really struggling. So the cool thing about the report is you can look at it at the state level, you can look at it at the county level, you can look at it by zip code, you can look at it by township. So you can drill it down however you would like to really have a clear understanding of how many people in your community or the area that you want to look at, how many are below the federal poverty guideline, and then how many are below this ALICE threshold. So the ALICE report uses much more current information than the federal poverty guideline. And so it's saying, what is the average cost for rent? What is the average cost for childcare? How does all of this stack up? And then what do people need? What is the average wage in the community? And what else can be done to help support these families, A, to become more self-sufficient, but B, to really thrive and really help them to be successful in the community. So the ALICE report, we've already released 2 iterations, and there is a 3rd one coming soon. We don't have an exact date, but it will be within the next 6 months that there will be a 3rd update to the ALICE report to really get a feel for how people in the community are doing. Okay.
Well,
Ash.
Alice was
That
done pretty well,
okay.
so I'm gonna just skip over that. And I'm going to touch on family-wise just real quick one, because the one thing I wanted to add is that I believe they have an app now you can download on your phone, and you can check out those drug prices or the discounts available to you depending on your medicine. So, but that is a partnership that I think all United Ways are doing with FamilyWise. So, Terry also mentioned that we do a lot of similar, we fund a lot of similar programs. We also do a lot of similar initiatives, maybe different name, but look a lot alike. So our Supplies for Success, we just also wrapped up our backpack and school supply drive. We serve all of the school districts in our area except for Neilsville. They last year decided to go ahead and provide all those school supplies to their students. So we served Marshfield, we served Auburndale, Spencer, Stratford, Granton, Greenwood, Loyal, and Pittsville communities for that. I believe we hit about 637 children, anywhere from pre-K all the way up to seniors in high school. So, Right to Play for All is a sports scholarship program. It started as a Leadership Marshfield project through our Chamber of Commerce, and we adopted it. So any child is eligible up to $100 per calendar year in scholarships. So if they'd like to participate, if it's in football, basketball, dance, karate, I think we've done STEM camps for kids. So it's just about promoting that active, healthy lifestyle, and sometimes even then helping out with equipment. So family can maybe afford the fee of participating, but child doesn't have cleats or whatever they might need to actually participate in the sport. AARP, so we have a wonderful group of volunteers that we work with, and actually our 2-on-1 program is very involved in this program now as well. So they provide tax preparation services for senior citizens and low to moderate income individuals in our community. I think they did probably almost 900 taxes last year. They donate thousands of hours of their time. They are just wonderful humans. And our 2-on-1 program really stepped up last year and has now helped coordinate all those tax appointments for all those individuals. Reach Out and Read would be, I think, very similar to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So it is a partnership that we do with the Marshfield Clinic. So at a well baby or well child visit, the doctor prescribes that individual a book and then talks to the parent about the importance of early reading with their infant, toddler, all the way on up through grade school. So Nutrition on Weekends is a program that we just started our 6th school year. So what we're doing there is we are providing supplemental food packs for children on the weekends. We are also doing that in, just like the Backpack School Supply Drive in all of the school districts that we serve. Last year I think we were feeding about 365 children a week. And when you have a small office like Terry and I do, that is quite the workload that you're taking on, but it is very rewarding. The program uses probably more than 700 volunteers. So people come to us, we go to work sites, and they help us pack up all those lunches and just really are trying to address food insecurities in our communities. Make a Difference Day, did you touch on this one?
I
For you?
didn't.
No, okay, so I think it's called Day of Caring.
We call it Day of Caring,
Yeah, so both of our communities coordinate leaf raking events for elderly and disabled who are still living in their home but may need that extra help with cleaning up their lawns. And so that falls on October 26th for us.
Same, October 26th.
It is a great teamwork building activity. It's a great family time. It's just a few hours of a little bit of muscle on a Saturday morning. So if you're interested in participating in either of our communities, please feel free to reach out to our local offices to sign up.
Yeah, so maybe you have a group of coworkers, maybe it's just your family, it could be anybody, right? Youth group, if you want to come by yourself, we will pair people up with other groups, so don't think you have to go do a yard with 6 maple trees all by yourself. We'll pair you up and make that happen, so.
And then Loads of Love. Loads of Love is meant to provide access for families to launder their clothes on a more regular basis. So we were hearing from guidance counselors in the schools that sometimes children were coming to school and they were having to change their clothes for them and launder them while they were there. So the intent of that program is, so we have worked with one of our local laundromats to have 2 washers and 2 dryers converted to accept tokens. So when those families are either going to the food pantries or the school counselors have those referral forms. So if there are families that are struggling to launder their clothes on a regular basis, we can help them do that on a more regular basis. So those, I think, are pretty much the majority of our initiatives at Marshfield Area United Way that we're working on year-round for the most part.
Excellent. So 2-on-1. 2-on-1 is a program that really we share the cost of. It happens to reside in Southwood County, but actually serves 13 counties. So 2-on-1 is a statewide resource, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where individuals can call for resource and referral for information. Could be any sort of community information. On the screen you see what the top items are. But it also, as we're getting closer to October, it's also a community resource. So we will get calls that will say, what are the trick-or-treating hours in Pittsville? Or what are the, and we want it to be about that. So it's about what kind of resources are there. I'm caring for an aging parent, what's in the community, all the way to what are the trick-or-treat hours. It includes all of those things. So we handle calls locally, locally meaning in Wood County, from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then after hours and weekends are covered by a call center in Milwaukee. And so last year in 2018, we handled 3,700 calls within our 13 county service area. And you can see what the top 5 needs were: housing, utility assistance, mental health and addictions, food pantries, and disaster services. And I'll come back to that with a little explanation. But then in 2018, just for Wood County, okay, so one of the 13 counties served, 1,306 calls, and the top needs were housing, food pantries, mental health and addictions, legal assistance, and AARP tax preparation. So you heard Ashley talk about the fact that 211 handles and coordinates all of the appointments for their tax preparation. So that's, that is a lot of calls that are handled. So that's why that lands up in there in the top. And when you look at total area where it says disaster services, 211 across the state has been partnering with emergency management. So we have a relationship with the county emergency management in all of the counties that we serve. And when there is a disaster in that area, we actually handle the damage calls. So the first experience we had with this was a little while back when there was the large tornado in Chetek. And so Barron County happens to be one of our counties. And so they set up a form for us. We would triage the callers and ask a whole series of questions. And then what was really great about that is it all got inputted, and then it could be pulled on their side. So emergency management could go in and say, okay, what's the priority on these? All of their folks could be on the ground doing the work, and they didn't have to park anybody at the phone. They could just say, if you have damage to report, call 211. So that happened in that instance. It also happened again in the flooding that happened last summer, and then most recently the windstorm that went through in July. So this is an ongoing partnership and relationship that we continue to see grow. And what's great about it is after each event like this, there's a very thoughtful process of what information was gathered and what was missing. What else do we need to, the next time something happens, what do we need to include and make sure that we ask people? For instance, in the flooding, one of the main questions was, are you trapped either inside or outside of your home? Like, is there water crossing your doorway, crossing your pathway to get in or out? Because that put those folks at a higher priority than maybe somebody whose car was underwater or something to that effect. So then they could prioritize those however they so chose. And then just to give you an update of where we're at so far this year. So you remember we took 3,700 calls in 2018. Through June of 19, it's 2,500 calls already. So definitely more. Top calls through the first half of the year is the AARP tax preparation. Obviously falls in the spring. Housing, utility assistance, mental health addictions, and food pantries. And then just Wood County. You can see those: AARP tax preparation, housing, mental health and addiction, food pantries, and utility assistance. So the beauty of 211 is it helps us connect people with programs. It also helps us understand what needs are going unmet. So that doesn't necessarily show on the screen, but we can see or start to see a pattern of when people are calling and we have no resources to offer them. We have about 3,000 programs in the database, and sometimes there's nothing in there that applies. But it is very helpful to us to know that and to know where there are gaps. And often those gaps fall with our ALICE population that we talked about earlier. And so it's thinking about wraparound service and how do we make sure people have what they need.
I think one thing I would just add is that I think 211 just received a grant recently for the AOD recovery Helpline.
Actually, it's wrapping up already.
Oh, okay.
but we did, and that's a very good point that Ashley brings up. So as a state system, we were able to leverage a grant for the AOD recovery helpline. So basically, anyone is steered toward 211 to call to know about resources that are available around. We used to just think about just alcohol and drug, but it also stems much into mental health and thinking about the opioid crisis. And so people are instructed to call us, and we can tell them what's available. Now, the good thing about beefing up our database of resources is that we can say to someone, if someone called right now and said we need inpatient care for our son who's an addict, we have the ability now to say, how far are you willing to travel? If they say, well, we would go within a 100-mile radius, with the capacity that we have now, we can easily search that. Or they could say, we'll go anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, tell us tell us what our options are. So there's been a lot of adding to the resources that are available, and maybe it's not adding, they're not new resources, but awareness of resources and getting those all in one spot so that people can be served in the best way possible, especially when they're in a time of crisis. So we can make sure that they get all of that information. So that's been a great great resource to all of our communities and to the whole state. For the past year, we've been working on adding those resources and really working on connecting people, and then of course now that will continue. So it's been a great partnership. Yeah. So we just want to thank you for hearing about United Way and all the great work that we're doing, and probably you most often hear about us when we're doing our fall fundraising campaign. But really, it's important for Ashley and I both that you understand what we're doing with those dollars. And so when you make an investment in United Way, here's what you're doing. You're helping to fund a whole bunch of programs that are enhancing people's lives, but you're also helping with all of these initiatives that we just covered. So we welcome questions, we welcome participation. Feel free to get in touch with either of us in the respective communities that you might come from, and get involved in any way that's meaningful for you. Thanks.
Thank you.